Lackluster day, lackluster performance.
Yeah, there was intraday volatility. We opened down, we went flat, then we had some fun, and then at about lunchtime we suddenly came off again. We ended well, literally I think 3 points higher, and volumes were low. I don't know what the closing auction volumes were, but we were unlikely to get much over 10 billion.
Right, around 9.5 billion rand or so, so nothing really too fantastic.
That's a tiny day. We should be looking for 12 as a decent day, 15 is really big.
But this has been the whole week. We've between 7 and around 9.5 billion rand throughout the week. Simon, with regards to the European crisis and the bearing that it's actually having on South Africa, I spoke with Richard Giokos from Standard Bank a little earlier today, and he was saying that no one's really committing to any specific direction on the market at this point. They're still waiting to see what's going to come out of Europe. Is it that important? Because the earnings are looking not that bad, the ones that we've had so far this week.
And if we wait for Europe, we're going to wait forever. I mean, we started talking about Greece 2.5 years ago. We're still talking about Greece. The EU is going to take the rest of our lifetimes. There is worry there, but certainly my sense in the market is that it wants to go up. And I say that quite simply, that we're a couple of percentage points off all-time highs from our market, which we got in the first quarter of this year. And there is a huge amounts of bad news if you want to go and find it in the Europe space. But as you say, when you come back home, and even some data out of the US, but particularly when you come back home, we've been getting massively strong results. We've had Mr. Price, we've had Barlow, really good numbers coming through, good retail sales coming through, and that actually bodes well for what's happening locally. And certainly our market, if anything, with all that bad news out there in Europe, the market's kind of saying not interested in it.
I'm perplexed because we had that fantastic retail sales number out, 8.3% year on year for the month of September. Truworths is down 2.6% today. Simon, any specific reason that Truworths would take such a knock?
There was that fancy shop that opened in Sandton this weekend.
Oh, Zara. Do you think it's having the impact
well, I don't know.
already?
Everyone's been telling me when Zara comes, our local retailers are significantly in trouble. I mean, aside from that, I mean, when I was running through, I expected to see more retailers. We had Woolies up 1%. That's kind of like up there, but they're not really clothing, I suppose. But certainly the retail number was massively strong. Truworths seemed to have said, no, not particularly interested in that. It's been running hard. Truworths always runs hard, always moves.
Do you own Truworths, Simon?
No, I don't.
MTN is up 1.3% today. We know that actually didn't have a fantastic day yesterday. Zara is up 1.33%. Massmart 1.3% stronger. So pretty much a mixed picture, no real direction from what I'm seeing.
No direction. What we are seeing, there are a bunch of stocks which kind of trade in ranges. I mean, MTN in the low 30s, you buy it, it goes to the high 30s. Standard Bank around 92, and others. I mean, we've got Vodacom around sort of the 90 level. It's moving up, and what we're seeing is stocks just gaining that bit of momentum, but within that trading range. No sort of breakouts in either direction. MTN keeps on hitting 140. Everyone gets excited. It fades back to the low 130s.
Naspers is down 1.6%, and we had a trading update. The headline earnings per share could increase by around 15%. And we saw the 10-cent numbers out not too long ago. People weren't really impressed with those. It seems that they missed from a profit perspective, but revenue was much stronger. Mail.argue also having an impact on these numbers this time around.
Yeah, look, I mean, 15% is not an exciting number. When you're Naspers and have been doing 50% growth, 15 is actually a very unexciting number. Yes, there was some 10-cent in there, which is a maturing business. There was some dilution from Mail.ru, which had an impact there. But the truth of the matter is that Naspers is a maturing business. Their assets are starting to become less about growth, more about revenue, more about profit flows, and it's going to do that change from the 50s to the 15s. It's happening quicker than I thought, but typically it does seem to. It happened with MTN, where suddenly they sort of were, high growth, low dividend, and then last year they said, nope, we can't find anything to buy, we're going to give dividends back. So those changes are happening.
Should you own Naspers? Because that's what many say. And if so, would you buy now?
Should you own Naspers? Short answer is I think if you want a bit of excitement in your portfolio, Naspers is a good place to have it. The 366 where it closed today is probably a bit high. I think you can probably pick it up below the 350. It's kind of range bound also at the moment.
So much corporate action, so much news out from BHP Billiton and Anglo American, spending money in Australia, buying things out, selling assets. There's so much action and activity happening. Are they still offering as much value as they were when, about a month ago, even 2 months ago, we were saying, Anglo American is a must buy, and so is BHP Billiton?
Short answer, not as much. I mean, we had Anglo sub 300, we had Billiton sub 220. They were incredibly strong buys. I think they still offer value. The BHP is going big in iron ore. I think a lot of people look at that and think iron ore is nice, but aren't we getting to the point where there might become too much iron ore? Kumba's got their huge plant coming on, Kumela plant coming on next year as well. Anglo was an interesting announcement. They're being sued by the Chilean government. They plan to fight it. This could not only take years and years in the court. The flip side is that the Mitsubishi, who came along to buy out half of their half stake in the Chilean copper miner, I think they might turn around and say, you know what, we don't want to get involved in this. They might actually lose the deal. And if they don't, they got years and years in court, neither of it particularly fun from what was a brilliant deal by Cynthia Carroll.
What do you make of Sasol, UBS increasing its price targets, rating it as a buy?
Yeah, Sasol's definitely a buy. I mean, at 385, again, it's run hard. It's probably got a fair value in the low to mid 400s, and that's at current oil prices. I think we could see some rand strengthening, but I think we're likely to see oil ticking up, particularly depending what's happening in Syria and how that continues to go. That oil will be losing capacity out of Syria, and I think we're going to start seeing some demand. We've seen numbers out of the US that suggest, frankly, the US might get a fairly positive GDP number for Q4. So let's write off Europe and so that they don't exist. The rest of the world is kind of doing okay, and that's going to give us demand for oil. Particularly, we've still got issues. Libya is still not completely online.
Yeah,
with
definitely a lot of supply constraints. Thank you so much, Simon. Great to have you on the program.